Hey guys, welcome to my Flash episode review. My review of last night's episode titled "The Flash is Born." Overall, it was a really, really good episode for me. Is a again solid episode. Like any episode of any TV show, it has its problems, and so I'll be delving into that. And I'll start off with my negatives of the show first. The villain didn't do a whole lot for me personally. I understood what the villain was trying to be is more of a way to tell, Barry's and Iris's story almost, like from when they were kids. Almost like, not an excuse, but like a reason to show like the flashback from when they were kids and Barry's situation with bullying. But I feel like the actor, I wasn't really feeling his performance because I've known the actor because I know he was on that show Secret Life, The American Teenager. I think that's the title. Not not a good show at all. But I think I remember him from it, and I don't know. I still kind of see him as that guy. So I don't know. It's hard for me to see him as like a villain. I mean, his powers are cool. That wasn't a bad thing for me. The powers are cool, but as a character, he fell flat for me. And so the actor did the best he could, but still like the performance is not great. I mean, I don't want to blame an actor for their performance, but I just didn't like the villain. So I don't know if that's necessarily the acting or the writing or whatever, but I just didn't like the villain. And then Cisco in this episode, again, he's my kind of like the anchor of the show to me. He kind of weighs it down. Like, I think I'm getting kind of tired of this character. I can't see him becoming Vibe at any point in the show. I know it's kind of early on to say, but kind of like how it was with Laurel in the beginning. Like I couldn't see her, Laurel and Arrow. I really couldn't see her becoming Black Canary, and now she's becoming Black Canary, and I can kind of see it now. But of course, I've delved into that before. And with Cisco, I just don't. It's hard to take that character seriously because obviously he's not like the most serious character. Even when he is serious, like the actor and the writing, I just don't like the Cisco character all that much. I kind of wish they'd chosen a different actor for it because I physically don't see it, and like performance wise, I don't really feel it. I don't really feel like it's like that great of performance from that actor, and I hate to say that, but that's how I feel. Positives. This was a great episode centering on Barry and Iris's relationship, and not only just Barry and Iris, but like the Flash and Iris, and how that's gonna be built into something more down the line. And when Barry keeps talking about staying away from Iris, and yet he's still talking to Iris as the Flash, like that's a little questionable. Like even though he said like, oh, well, you shouldn't be talking, and yet as the Flash, he's going and talking to her. I mean, yeah, again, he is reiterating the fact that you should stop what you're doing, stop the blog because you're putting yourself in the ones you love in danger, blah blah blah. But still, I don't know. And then Iris just doesn't. It's almost like she doesn't really get the point. Like she doesn't really care, and that kind of bothers me. But overall, I mean, that's a minor thing. I can kind of glance over it for now, like unless it becomes an issue that I have to address later. But overall, I mean, I like where their relationship is going. Like obviously they're not in a relationship, but I like how as characters how their relationship is progressing. I'm liking that, and I like the ending how they made up, and it's like it was only a week you guys weren't talking, and I'm like, oh, I miss you. I missed you too. Okay, come on. Like that's why I knew like last week at the end of last week's episode. And I knew the whole, I guess we shouldn't talk anymore or whatever, or we shouldn't see each other for a while. I knew that wasn't going to last at all. I know that's going back into the negatives, but moving on from that. Again, Eddie. I actually liked Eddie for once. I didn't think he was that bad. Him and, I don't think him and Barry have a lot of screen time together because normally it's like Eddie and Joe, Eddie and Iris, Barry with Eddie and Iris, or that's it. And this episode was really the first time you saw Barry and Eddie together. So for me, it was kind of cool seeing that dynamic between the two because you don't know like who's in the comics. Like his name is like a reference to the Professor Zoom character, and that's another thing I'll get into a little bit later about the whole Zoom thing. But I'm liking what they're doing with their relationship. And the guy, I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but I'm liking where he's going. And the big thing about the episode that I really liked was the ending with Professor Zoom, because throughout the whole episode, Joe was, like talking to Harrison Wells about it. He's still trying to investigate the murder of Barry's mom, and find out, if it was a metahuman created by Wells or whatever the case may be. He's asking Wells about it, and then they're in the bar, Joe and Wells having a drink, and then Wells basically like he has him as a suspect, as a potential suspect, or at least he think it might have something to do with it. Joe was thinking about Wells if he's involved somehow, and of course Wells gets a little antsy. But then he's like, "Oh, look up this person's name." Like he says someone's name. It's supposed to be like his wife, if that really is his wife. And so he gives him a name to look up, and then he leaves because he's offended by he was even asked that. And then so they make up later, and at the end of the episode, there's Joe's in his house still going through all the evidence, and then Professor Zoom shows up and he's like running around, almost like how Barry's mom was killed. I thought for a second that Joe was gonna get killed, but instead of doing that, Zoom, whoever it is, whether it's Wells or Thawne or whatever, Zoom throws a knife onto a picture of Iris and it says "Stop or else," and then like that's like the end of the episode, and it's like damn, like they're really going there. And it's cool that they're finally bringing the Zoom character back because it's a character, excuse me, a character we haven't seen since the pilot, so you don't know if the character was even around. I mean, of course, like a lot of you guys have probably seen the leaked pictures of Grant Gustin, like of the behind the scenes shot of Grant Gustin fighting whoever Professor Zoom is, and I'm really looking forward to that. Like, I really want to know who it is. That's one thing I really like about the show is that they're really getting me into it, and that's why like every week they almost every week they end on some sort of cliffhanger and like almost like a what the fuck kind of moment. Excuse my language, but yeah, the ending is just I'm still kind of in shock from it. And that's another reason why I love this show is like it's leaving me wanting more, and I think in the end like that's what a good show should do is leaving you wanting to come back like week after week after week. And that's one of the things the show does successfully because then like with Arrow starting out, I watched it every week not because I was really into it, but because it was a DC show and it was the only DC show on after Smallville. So I'm like, I'll give it a chance. And I stuck around and I stuck around and I stuck around and I got better and better and better. Season 2 came around and I fell in love with the show even more. With The Flash, like I'm already in love with the show because it's really keeping me like on the edge of my seat, like especially with those cliffhanger moments at the end. Again, like this episode overall was a really solid episode. Yeah, like I had some gripes with some of the actors' performances and some of the characters, but overall, I'm really loving this show. Especially Grant Gustin's portrayal of Barry Allen. I can't explain enough how much he really brings heart and real emotions to this character. Because even when, like in the episode when he's going off against, when he's angry and he's running to go get Girder, he's doing it out of emotions. He's not really thinking. He's angry because he wants to take this bully down. And I think deep down, that's kind of what we all want to do. We all want to face, like those people who picked on us and bullied us when we were kids. Like we wish we can go back and face them. And Barry, he thinks because he has these powers, he can beat him. And at first, he gets his ass handed to him. He gets beat down, and to see him go through that, and show that like he's not a perfect person. Even though he is a superhero, he's not going to make the best decisions. And that's one thing that superhero shows or superheroes movies in any form of media, superheroes. Like there needs to be like no one's perfect, and I like how the show kind of addresses that without being it so blunt. It's like everyone's gonna make mistakes. Like Arrow made mistakes. He even said that in the pilot. He's like, and he told that to Flash, like you're gonna make mistakes, but the good you do will far outweigh the bad. And I like how Barry, even after him making mistakes, he's still like pushing. He's still trying. And I think that's the mark of a true hero. Is no matter how hard you get beaten, it's always coming back up and to keep fighting, like literally or figuratively. And I like that aspect of the Barry Allen character that no matter how much he gets beaten up, he's still trying. He's still going out and saving people, not because he has to do it, but because he feels it's the right thing to do, and he thinks with these abilities he can save more people. And I really like that because I mean we all know like the Flash is the Flash, so he's supposed to save people. But I think it's beyond that. It's more than just doing it. It's almost like the why to doing it. Because Barry is constantly pushing himself, and almost every week he's getting beaten. Like he faces the villain once, gets beaten, and then by the end of the episode he figures out a way to beat it. beat the villain. I mean, and I do like that aspect of the story. But overall, again, really solid episode. Around I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Solid episode. The cliffhanger definitely left me wanting more, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode. And I cannot wait for the Flash and Arrow crossover coming in the next few weeks. Um, that's gonna be a long couple of nights for me. I'm gonna be rewatching those so much. All right, guys. That'll be it for me. My review of The Flash is Born. 7.5 out of 10. You'll be hearing from me later when I do my Arrow episode review. All right, guys. That'll be it for me. And until next time, have a good one.